So it's about three-quarter view today, and what that means is we're going to talk about how the three-quarter view perspective affects eyes, how it affects noses, and how it affects mouths. But most importantly, the biggest giveaway for bad rotation is when you ask a student who paints front view all the time to go in and paint you a three-quarter view. All you got to do, if you really want to test a student's skill level, is be like, yo, I know you're like the kingpin when it comes to front view portraits, and you've really graduated the 14-day challenge with flying colors, but paint me a three-quarter view. If they run away, it's because they don't know how to paint a three-quarter view. If they paint a three-quarter view and it's not even like at the caliber of what they did front view, you have a rotation problem. Rotation is when you cannot imagine, listen, rotation is when you can't imagine that shape in this perspective that you're currently memorizing it in a different perspective. You don't know what it looks like from a different angle. That's fine. That's normal. That's human. Humans can't do that. Humans aren't capable of processing that much framework, that actual frame count, frame rate. They can't process all that in their brain. They need an image pre-made, pre-installed image. So in your mind, there is no animator. There is no program that will run all the animation frames, and you can just choose the speed to run each frame. You can choose the speed for each frame. There's no such thing like that in your mind. You either download the picture by memorizing it of each rotation, of each level of the rotation. You either have it or you don't. So what we're looking at here is, some of you memorize this perfectly, but when it comes to this three-quarter view angle extremity, this one, this one, this one, this one, there's no information. Sometimes you guys have a little bit of one of these, the eyes of this and the nose of this, and you combine them together to be a face, and you combine two perspectives as one image, which is another sign of rotation problems. So today I'm going to cover some of these issues. It's not, you can't teach every single angle of rotation in a three-quarter view. I can't do that. A lot of this is going to be your own personal mileage, your own personal climb. And me as the instructor, I can only reach so deep into your minds with words and descriptions and and diagrams and categories of those diagrams, and running into terminology and giving you a better vocabulary, changing your. I can only do that, which isn't a small amount of information, but it's a lot. But it's only external, as you know. A lot of that stuff, once it enters your brain, it's up to you how you process it. You either sit there and ruminate on all of these fundamentals, or you don't. If you do, then you will apply all of this and actually learn from it on an experience, like a field experience. So there's only so much I can reach as your instructor. After that, it's going to be your own personal effort in the climb, your own struggle, your own carving away at the thing, whatever the thing is in this endless metaphor. So what we want to cover today is a little bit about the eyes and how to use the symmetry line to help you find where you currently are in the rotation. Remember to stay on topic. I will give you an opportunity to ask questions. If you ask questions, please make sure you have an @Istebrak so that I can see it, or else it'll just get flooded away in the chat. If you don't write @Istebrak, I don't find your question. Please keep questions related to today's class. If you have other questions, you can ask them in the community. All right. Before I start, I want to apologize for something. I was moderating the community channel, and I accidentally pressed decline on someone's post. I'm so sorry. If you followed the rules, if someone out there followed the rules and posted something to the community and I declined it for no reason at all, it's because it was an accident. I didn't know how to undo it because I have like 50 to click through. And I clicked, then check mark, and I accidentally clicked on the X, and it doesn't give me a prompt, yes or no, do you want to do it? It just goes straight in and takes my decision. So I'm so sorry if I declined your post. If you're one of those people, try posting again, and I'm sure you'll get accepted. I'm very sorry about you. I don't know who you are. It happened so fast. I'm so sorry. Okay. So let's have a nice clean background and let's talk about it. Let's talk about rotation. So rotation, as you know, we talked about this earlier, it has a great deal to do with animation, being able to animate. So a three-quarter view is an animated front view. Please remember that a three-quarter view is an animated version of your front view. What you memorized is one frame of the ability of this object's ability to rotate on a three-dimensional level. So a three-quarter view, the big three-quarter view, a great deal of it is animation. Okay, I'm so sorry about my writing. It's not good. I'm not saying it's good. It's just the way to map out what we're talking about today. Okay, animation. It means that animation, as you understand, we've talked about this a lot. Animation works on keyframes. All right, keyframes. Frames. Keyframes mean that they are pivotal moments in the rotation, pivotal moments in the movement. So when someone's throwing a baseball, throwing a baseball, there's the moment when they reach out the furthest behind, when their hand reaches the furthest backward. Then there's the moment when the other hand reaches in, and then they kind of just twist their body a little bit, and then when the hand reaches outward the most in front of them. So there's the moment when the hand is behind, the arm and the hand is behind, and the hand is at the body torso level, and then there's the moment when the arm is flung forward and then launching the baseball. There are 3 moments in there: the furthest back, the torso, and the outward most forward most reaching position of the arm. That's called a keyframe. The moments in between are useless. They're pointless. What we do is we call those in-betweens. And those are given off to the interns. No one really cares about those because you have a framework. You have those 3 main keyframes as the anchor for the motion of the movement, the style, the lines chosen, the shape in your current animation. This transfers straight back into 3/4 view. You just have to think of it like this. All you have to do is memorize keyframes and the positioning. If you only memorize one keyframe, which is front view, you're going to have a lot of trouble rotating this. This is the most outward reaching position. This is the starting position, and this is the 3rd keyframe in between those keyframes. So you've got 1, 2, 3. This model is very basic. I'm going to be updating it very, very soon, but it pretty much illustrates exactly what we're talking about. When we have this as the extremity and this as the starting point, 3/4 view fits right in very perfectly. And the reason why we have to acquaint ourselves with this side view is because we know that this, at one point or another, will no longer be symmetrical. The biggest significant area, like the most problematic area in 3/4 view, is one of the most problematic areas is symmetry. Right, so symmetry is an issue. Then there's the symmetry line. You have to make sure you use this line. This line maps out for you how much of the rotation is hiding the symmetry. So symmetry is, in the rotation, the symmetry is changed. We have a lack in the symmetry. So rotation, which is this, leads to an asymmetry. Asymmetry. Okay? When we have the symmetry line, yep, so line and then the symmetry line, however I map this, we start to prepare ourselves to lower the width of the furthest side that is rotating. So when I talked about the nose a long time ago, when I was a baby on YouTube, I talked about how rotating the nose is very easy on a symmetry line because all you have to do is just make that triangle less wide on one side. And then you shift over the tip of the nose to one side of the symmetry line, and then you throw in your first signifier or the slit for the nostril, and then you fill in the rest. Identify the tip of the nostril here, and then you've got a more accurate 3/4 view. This symmetry line at this point is no longer the line that actually sits on the elevation as a contour line. It's just like a technique to figure out how to rotate. This is a great technique. Why? There's many techniques, but this one is one I approve of because it's already addressing the fact that we've hidden a great deal of one side and revealed a great deal of another. Remembering that in the rotation, because this is a keyframe, because of the fact that symmetry is thrown out of the window when it comes to 3/4 view, we have one side more visible than the other side. All right, that's one way to do it. This side helps you find out how much of the eyes are visible. So if you figure out that, okay, the nostril is just going to sit around here, you follow this line upward, and it looks like the inner corner of the eye is hiding behind the nose. So you, in fact, have a great deal of the eye hide behind the nose in a 3/4 view, just like we're seeing here. Right? So the inner corner is gone, missing. As soon as the nostril is gone, the inner corner disappears. So here's a little tip. We find these little great little landmarks, things to look out for, clues that, you know, it's time to hide one other part of the feature. So as soon, write this back to me, as soon as the distant nostril starts to disappear, the inner corner of the further eye disappears as well. Eventually, when that nostril is completely gone, we have a great deal of the eye missing. And when the total visibility of one side of the nose is visible, the other eye is completely gone. All right, so this is why we have to think in animation. If you're not doing a 3/4 view challenge for your 14 days, if you're not doing a side view challenge for 14 days, you're going to have a bad time. A lot of my private students who are amazing painters, I'm telling you guys, these guys are amazing. And I see them do a front view for me, and I'm like crossing my fingers. I'm like, all right, give me a side view and give me a 3/4 view. Almost always they fall off, and they fall off in large ways, really great ways. And that's good, because now we get to make the mistake. Absolutely. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Make as many mistakes as you can. Please do. Please make the mistake. But if you're going to wait until the next time you draw a 3/4 view to make the mistake, that's going to be a while. What you want to do is get all those mistakes out of the way right now. Doing the 14-day challenge means that you're going to make all these rotation mistakes now. You don't want to experience only one frame of the keyframes that go into rotating a face and understanding portraiture. Remember that thing that I showed you guys? These help you understand these. Perspective, 1 point, 2 point, 3 point helps you understand head rotation. That's exactly what it's all about. Perspective is basically just looking at something through a different angle. And animation is all about perspective. Animation is perspective. I'm sorry, what's wrong with my writing today? All right, animation is perspective. I just remembered something really silly, and I don't know if I should share it. I'm just going to share it. I don't know why I remembered it. A long time ago when I was a kid, I started to learn how to drive. And this is so off topic and so weird. And I thought that because I learned how to drive, I could no longer draw. Because it made my hand shake. The first time I drove, I was so scared, and I got home and my hand was shaking so badly I couldn't draw. I'm sorry I remembered that. That was so weird, because I drove the new car today, and I'm all shaky because it's new and I don't want to hurt it. So I'm like driving extra careful, and if you know me, you know I don't drive careful at all. I don't know why I remember that. I don't know. I'm just going to share it anyway. Who cares? All right. So when we rotate an eye, the eye is a little bit more difficult to rotate because it's a sphere. You guys think that you can just draw the eyeball and give me a couple little eyelids and a little lashes, and you can just shrink that. You can just a lot of you do this, all right, and you know who you are. You can just shrink it like this, and that's the distant eye. You can't do that for this eye and then just do this for the distant for the closer eye. No. When we have a basketball, all right, let's say we have a basketball, and on that basketball we stuck a sticker. Right, front view, the sticker looks like this. Don't write back the story. Did your hand heal up okay? Oh, you mean the stitches? Oh yeah, it's been a while. Yeah, I just got a really, really cool scar here. I'm shaking because I think I had too much coffee and I was at the dealer's and I had too much tea and I was just all over the place. I think that's why my writing is so shitty. But this basketball has a star on it. Let's say we rotated this beach ball, all right? So we got the little thingy and we rotate it. A lot of you just do this. Is this the actual rotation? You just shifted everything over. You didn't wrap, you didn't reveal any surface contour lines. You just shifted the main signature, that the sticker on top of this solid dense object. You shifted that over. So a lot of you just grab the eyelids and you just do everything. You're not even the shifting. Sometimes some of you don't even bother with this. You just get the front view eye and then you squish it into a less wide version. If you squish it at all, some people don't even squish the further eye. They don't even squish it horizontally. They just keep it the exact same size as this eye. A lot of stuff happens in 3/4 view, and that's the only reason why it's difficult. You don't have to be smart or gifted to understand what's happening in 3/4 view. When we rotate this beach ball, what we're actually supposed to be doing is, one, revealing the fact that we're looking at this beach ball head on. That's why this line of the star is straight. But when we get into side view, that line actually turns into a swell that reveals the belly of the beach ball. Take a look at that. And things just start to rotate away, and we don't see other side. I'm sorry for my shitty work, but this is pretty much what I'm trying to show you, is that we need to start, number one, showing the swell of the eyeball in the distance. We need to show more of this side of the eyelid, and the inner corner is almost always hidden by the nose. And we show less of the distant part of the eyelid. Every single person here today showed the further part of the eyelid. This is problematic. Every single person. Every one of you guys. And this is just another thing to add to the list of what we're avoiding. These are things we don't see. Again, it depends on the extremity of the 3/4 view. The 3/4 view is a bitch, because what happens is you, again, memorize one kind of 3/4 view that's a little less extreme and overlap it and render it in the same face as a 3/4 view reference in your mind, in your visual library. That's of an extreme 3/4 view, and you layered them on top. So one eye ends up being extreme, the other eye ends up being front view, the nose ends up revealing a nostril where it shouldn't, and the lip doesn't have absolutely like any kind of swell or geometry visibility on it. So this swell is visible on all accounts, in all ways. This circular outer shape of the sphere, that cylindrical belly, it becomes visible in every object that we start seeing. As the face rotates, we start to see these spheres. So just take a look at the cheek. As the cheek rotates, we reveal one cylindrical spherical swell of the belly, the lips, this line of the chin, of the cheek, of the eyeball. And this is not at that extreme a 3/4 view, but it is a naked model. It doesn't have lashes. Shit. It's a naked model that doesn't have lashes, so we will not be able to actually see as much eyelid as we do on this model. This model is completely stripped of lashes, of anything. It's a very basic model. And this line does not count as a surface area. This surface area is all visible. All right, let's look at it like that. All the surface area is visible. This eye is of course more visible. It's closer to us. But again, less on this side and more on this side. And that's it. That's all you have to cross off your list. You just got to give me some basic planes. You got to give me some basic surface area planes. That's all I want to see. So we've got a plane like this, a plane like this, and less on this side. We need to see this spherical shape swell outward. We need to see that. Okay, we need to see less. These are massive planes that I'm laying down. That's fine. These are the planes you're supposed to be laying down in the early stages of your painting. It's okay if it's messy. This eye does show a little bit more. Remember, it's closer to us. But that's it, you guys. I do have the video especially dedicated to a nose and 3/4 view. You can have a look at that. It's a little bit older. I was younger. My voice probably sounded a lot more prepubescent. Well, no, I was way post that, but anyway. And I don't want to spend too much time focusing only on the nose today. I just want to spend a lot of it on the eyes, because a great deal of you have trouble with the eyes. One more thing I wanted to say about the nose, and I've spoken about this before. When we draw a car in 3/4 view, we don't force the visibility of the wheel on the farther side by like raising that entire structure of the wheel just so we can see the wheel if the wheel is down here. This is the closer nostril. This is the nose tip and the bridge and the septum. And then this is you guys drawing the further nostril, forcing the visibility of the further nostril. A lot of you have to just give it up, let go, jump in feet first, and stop thinking about showing me what I'm not supposed to see. Perspective hides sides. Write that back to me. Okay? Perspective hides sides. If the perspective is telling you, hey buddy, you're not going to see the side, then just let go. You don't have to force me. Say, hey, yo, I know how to draw the further nostril. Just take a look at this. I'm just really trying to show you, I'm really putting an effort in to show you what's on the other side of this nose, even though you're not supposed to see it. I really want to show you. That's not, you just need to let that go. You need to let that go and stop trying to show me what I'm not supposed to see. So let's list them down. Let's make it easy. You know me, I love lists. Let's make some lists. What's not visible in a 3/4 view in all 3/4 view? And remember that the visibility of these things is varied. They have a varied visibility. Varied visibility that depends on extremity, I guess, of rotation. I don't think extremity is the right word, but I'm just going to use it. All right, so these are the things that can hide. These are the things that will hide in a 3/4 view. You are expected to hide them. I think all you guys needed, all you little babies needed, was just a list like this to just, you know, fuck, man, just give me a list. Tell me what I'm not supposed to be drawing on a 3/4 view and what I am supposed to be drawing. And I'll make a list of what not to hide. And that would pretty much be it, and then I'll go into the paint overs, okay? Expected to hide. The farther side, the farther nostril. Oops. All right, the farther nostril. One, whatever, it's not numbered. The farther or part of, so what I mean by listing these things is sometimes they are visible, it's just a varied visibility. It's a degree of visibility. Degree. All right? Remember, it's not completely hidden. Don't interpret this list as completely hide all of this. Some 3/4 views don't hide all of this. They hide some of these features. You are expected to hide the further nostril, the lip corner, the further lip corner. All right, what else? The further corner of the eye corner, outer eye corner. I'm not looking at the comment sections just now. Please make sure that you are focusing on the lesson. If someone did have a question, feel free to answer them, but make sure you pull your attention back towards me. The outer eye corner. Completely and utterly hide the ear at all stages of the 3/4 view, except for the most immediate one right after. So we've got, this is a 3/4 view. This is probably the least degree, and then we move on forward until we see the entire side view. So that's pretty much what we're looking at right now. The distant ear starts to disappear, and the cheek, the temple line, starts to show as a swell. That's the first thing. The first clue, the first giveaway, the first exemplary kind of instance of that cylindrical visibility of the belly of the sphere that is in the face and everywhere in the face. On the whole face is a sphere, just with geometries as well, mixed with geometry. The first revealer, I guess, of the rotation is the disappearance of the ear and this cheekbone line sticking out. All right, the furthest ear disappears. So let's take a look one more time. What's disappearing? The bridge of the nose. The further bridge of the nose. The further ear, the further ear, and then the further bridge of the nose. Nose bridge. All right. If you just this small preliminary list, if you just go over this list and ask yourself, have I really hidden enough of this stuff? You'll just probably improve your 3/4 view just overnight, just in an hour if you just go through this list. Some of this stuff hides because of rotation, and some of this stuff hides because of stacking. I've talked about stacking before. Let's say we've got two objects, one beside the other. One unit of depth is stacking. To show that one object is in front of the other, you just have object 1 and object 2. Sometimes one overlaps the other, showing that this is closer to us than this. Sometimes we've got a raise in the perspective, so we have this as clued higher on the horizon line to be even further up the horizon line. Okay, so this is like, forget about this one. This one we barely need to use it. Sometimes we use it when we have 1 point or 2 point perspective on the face, some kind of fisheye lens or worm's eye or bird's eye. But this is all you need to remember, that the nose hides the eyes, the eye swell itself hides the outer corner because it's a three-dimensional object. The eye is not a flat circle. It's a z-axis. It's based on, like, it has a z-axis to it. Or let me just do it like that. It's a three-dimensional object. Oh, rotated it, stupid. Okay. So this is a real object. It's got x, y, and z axes. So this means this is going to get in. If there was another ball behind it, it would hide that ball, and that ball would hide that ball, and on. The chain of pearls grows. And that's all you need to remember. That there are units in here that are less visible than others because of stacking or rotation. Rotation essentially is stacking. We're still stacking. We're stacking one object on the other. But sometimes rotation can't really be stacking because we're not really stacking the visibility. The nose isn't really stacking in front of itself. The rotation hid the other bridge of the nose. Do you understand? So it's not really stacking anymore. It's just rotation. We rotated and saw a different side of the cube. Okay? Rotation is also the reason why we're seeing more of this side. No stacking has happened yet on the closest eyeball. So we haven't really this hasn't really disappeared yet, but more of this surface area of this eyeball disappears before this one does. So a lot of the reason why this is invisible is because of stacking and rotation. Remember that. What not to hide, in fact, what to reveal more of, is just the closest side of everything. Everything that I'm going to shine in purple, I'm going to color in purple, should not be hidden. Should be shown, should be revealed. So you cannot hide this part here. Do not bring the ears too close. All right? Do not hide the inner corner of this eye. Not allowed. You cannot hide any part of the lips from this symmetry line outwards. Remember, there is a symmetry line that moves in this way. You can't hide that part. And going down that way. Do not hide the front part of the neck. Do not hide the front part of the chin. Reveal all of this. This little bit of the cube on the side. Alright, so what not to hide is pretty much composed of everything to do with the closest eye that hasn't fully rotated in the way that it has rotated, but not enough to hide. So the closer eye. Okay. Remember that this does experience rotation, experience compression, whatever you want to call it. Does experience rotation, but no stacking though. Does experience rotation, but no stacking. Meaning that the eyeball doesn't hide the outer corner the way this one does. This one's whole face is less visible. And in saying what else needs to be hidden, let's add one more little fact. This whole side, if you were to remember how the face is in four quarters. Right, sorry about the mess. Let me just try to do a straighter version of that. Alright, so there's line number 1. There's line number 2. So 1, 2, 3. Oops. And then we have the furthest quarter hidden. That's why it's 3 out of the 4 quarters that are visible of the face. At least that's how I interpret it. So this one, the furthest quarter, the furthest visible quarter, is supposed to be significantly less in size. So when I do these paint overs, I'm going to grab this whole section as a lasso and push it in. Because this size is not supposed to be equal. If we weighed this on a scale and this on a scale, they should not weigh the same. If they weigh the same, then you've done something wrong and we haven't really rotated. Just take a look at how that side disappears. Its width is decreased. So equal on either side. 1, 2, 3, 4 quarters are visible. One of the 3 quarters is now completely gone. One of the 4 quarters is now completely gone. We have the third one left behind. We have 2 fully visible ones. And then we've got less and less and less width as the nose punctures through the silhouette line of the face. And as soon as it does that, depending on the size and the gender of the nose, we end up having a half of the face, which is a profile view, which is 2 out of 4, which is half of the face's visibility. Okay, what's happening? Whatever are you talking about? Any mods present? Mods, please make sure that you are silencing anyone spamming the chat. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I don't know how to help you. I really don't know. You came in too late if you don't understand what I'm saying. So this is one more thing that you have to make sure you've compressed width-wise. The further half, or the further half, or the further quarter. I don't want to confuse you because it's not a half. The first quarter out of the 4 is completely gone. Remember, the ear isn't visible. The further quarter is less wide. All right, it's disappearing. It's also hidden. Expect it to hide. So again, the closer eye, the side view, the side bridge of the closest nostril. All right, all you need to do is just list this down as a list. You just have to make it as a list. The next time you try 3/4 view, go through this list and ask yourself, have I addressed the fact that the lip corner is partially hidden? Have I addressed the fact that the swell, let me draw the swell for you, what I mean by swell. Right, let me get a more vibrant color, like a crazy color. Okay, this line, this, and this. All of this becomes visible because all of these are sphere-based. The tip of the nose, the lips are cylindrical, the chin is cylindrical, the cheeks are cylindrical, the eyebrow bone is cylindrical, and this is the edge of the cube, but it is a cylindrical, rounded off, sanded off edge of the cube. All right, and this also has a cylindrical swell, and the entire cranium itself is a sphere. So this is the swell right here. All right, that's what starts to get visible. The more something hides, the more visible this is. So you see what I mean by rotation, and you see what I mean by animation, how easy it makes things to just, you know, when you have the three keyframes, you do studies 1 week for side view, complete side view, half view of the face, 1 week for 3/4 view, and 1 week for front view. Don't be an artist that only knows how to draw front view. You will not be able to transfer all of this perspective knowledge into landscapes one day. The face is the thing to study if you want to get better at landscapes. Of course, there is a great deal of science that goes in, probably a lot of geology that goes into studying and painting landscapes successfully. But a great deal of the perspective, the foundation knowledge is something that you experience in portraiture. And portraiture alone sometimes. You can get a cube in a form study, but it'll teach you how to rotate in lighting and how to perfect your edge work and how to perfect your contrast and light environment and casting shadows and dealing with light sources. But a face is the final frontier. The face is the portrait is where you got no one feature is like the other. You've got a three-dimensional object. You've got an unforgiving requirement for symmetry, and you have an inexhaustible amount of combinations for different kinds of faces. We don't have just one kind of face. We have so many kinds of faces and so many kinds of referencing. But all of this physics right here should pretty much be preserved through any kind of face because all of this is based on the skeleton. The things we're rotating right now are the symmetry is on a skeletal level. Write that back to me. Everybody write that back to me. Symmetry is on a skeletal level. And as long as you remember all of this stuff, the thing is I don't want to make a massive list of what not to hide because what not to hide is pretty much everything else that's not hidden, which means the entire face. So I can't make a whole list of what not to hide, but keep an eye out for these specific areas. The side bridge of the nose needs to be further. So this has to be a longer distance before we get to the other eye. This is a longer distance. This is a shorter distance. All right. Space is not the final frontier. A portrait is, and probably our sea exploration. I think there are some major monsters in our seas right now. Probably going to be a big portrait monster, a big face. All right, so you guys have the opportunity now to ask me some questions, basic questions on the diagrams I've drawn and anything like that before I get into the paintovers. All right, so if you haven't taken down these notes, again, this is going to be posted up on YouTube. And you can take those notes down there. I'm going to have some water. 1 second. All right. So, show of hands. Who here has come in, you know, with a greater, more, I guess, a better understanding of three-quarter view now? Just press 1. Just write the word 1, the number 1 to me, so I can see who else is left who has questions. All right. So if you have any questions, write at Istebrak, and I'll find the question, or else it will get flooded. There are 200 people here. Symmetry is on a skeletal level. Yes. Okay, it's unforgiving. It's required, and three-quarter view tests you forever. It tests your ability to rotate. If you can't do three-quarter view, front view is going to be pretty much your disability and your crutch, and the only one trick pony trick that you have. You don't want to be like that. Not while you're my student. No way, Jose. I'll make sure that you guys have all the terminology that you need to take on this very, very difficult climb. And a lot of you say that this climb is going to be difficult for me, but anyone who's ever said this is going to be difficult and they've defeated it, they look back and they say, damn, that was more easy than I thought it would be. It's always going to be like that. Every challenge is like that. Nobody looks around and says that challenge was too difficult. Nobody says that, really truly says that, because they managed it. You only say that when you fail the challenge. You only say that when you give up. You only say that when you really couldn't, in all your power, take that challenge on. And this is just a drawing of a three-quarter view. You're not climbing Everest. So if you haven't taken on the three-quarter view 14-day challenge, I invite you to do it as soon as possible. A lot of you are jumping straight for the front view and graduating it and then stopping. Please continue on to side view and three-quarter view. There's a whole other can of worms. Is that what the term is? There's a whole other can of worms waiting for you when you do side view. Side view is a little bit more difficult as well, because there is a lot of stacking, a lot of what's in the foreground, what's in the background, and the half of everything. It's easy to get half of the nose. It's easy to do half of the mouth, but doing half of the eye is probably the more difficult challenge you're going to face with the eye. The last little hurdle you're going to have to jump over before you perfect everything. I think my phone's gone. Before you perfect portraiture. All right. Istebrak, do you only do critiques for current homework assignments? Do you only do digital art? No, I've critiqued traditional art. I haven't been critiquing traditional art recently. I think it's just been the topics that we've been dealing with, especially if I'm talking about smudging and using Photoshop tools. Also, sorry that I didn't know most of these things. It is just because I found about your channel and its critiques just this month. Welcome, though. Welcome to the channel. Does the nose bridge visually connect with the eyebrow in three-quarter view on the left side? It doesn't connect to it visually unless the, Tenzin, good question, unless the eyebrow is low enough. But there is a distinct gesture line right here. This is a gesture line. There is a very distinct gesture line that kind of seems like we're seeing the almost edge, but we're still not seeing a complete hiddenness. All that happened is that these, what's it called? These grid lines just compressed a little bit, got closer together because of the rotation. Do you see what's happening? But that's pretty much the only thing you look out for. Remember that you cannot pull off a three-quarter view successfully if you haven't identified where your symmetry line is. Remember, please remember, I'm holding all of your heads right now, okay? I'm just talking to you personally. Please remember that the symmetry line adjusts as your face adjusts. Your symmetry line doesn't stay super elevated while your nose is a tiny little nose. If you drew the symmetry line a little bit more bulky at the start of the painting, you have to adjust it to match the delicacy of the new nose as you're developing it. Some of you draw blueprints of symmetry lines and vertical and horizontal symmetry lines, and you guys end up saying, oh, the symmetry line completely threw me off. The symmetry line doesn't work. The symmetry line gives me a weird bulky face. It's because you didn't adjust the symmetry line as you went on. When you carve at something, when you have a piece of clay, this piece of clay ended up turning into this beautiful face, okay? This really pretty face. This symmetry line, it's not the same as it is over here. It adjusted to the new contour. So as long as you keep adjusting the new contours, get a nice layer and redraw it every couple times. Every half hour, every major interval in the development of your painting, redraw the symmetry line so it adjusts to the new face. Remember that one half of the face is less visible, so the symmetry line is closer to the edge of everything. The symmetry line isn't like this. The symmetry line is like this on the nose. More of one side of the nose is visible than the other. This is a lot of tips. I don't want to overwhelm you guys or lose my voice because I still have to do paintovers. But that's it. That's all I have to show for you guys today. Let's see any questions. Istebrak, why you ignore me? I'm sorry, Nick. Can I send you pics of my Loomis method without the features when the side view homework is due? The side view homework was due today, but you can hand it in, the goat, into the community link. I'll show you the community link at the end of the stream. Sorry, I'm reading your question and talking at the same time. Can she see us on YouTube? What do you mean? Is the farthest eye supposed to be drawn a bit smaller than the one closest, and by how much smaller should you draw it? Very, very good question. Another great question, Tenzin. No, never. Don't shrink it collectively. Don't shrink it collectively. You either choose a line and stick with it for the upper and lower eyes, creases of the eye, and then you stick to that. You don't touch them, okay? The only thing that compresses is width. Width is the only size change. All right, the eye is less wide. The eyeball didn't change sizes, so we can't just change the size for the furthest eye. The only time that happens is if we have a crazy like a crazy you know, really close to the camera kind of, you know, crazy eye, big and really close to the camera. And you got one eye in the distance, and you've got like a fish eye or a one-point perspective happening. But this doesn't shrink width-wise. Length-wise, it shrinks width-wise. Length-wise, it's exactly the same. Width-wise, it's smaller, thinner. Please remember that. The only reason why is because they are, like, let's say you're looking at a piece of paper. Get a halfway line on that piece of paper and draw 2 cubes. If you were to put that piece of paper on its side and take a picture, all right, it's still, everything is still on the same lines. It's just that, oops. So let's say these 2 lines like this and like this, all right? These 2 lines are still there. It's just that one eye, one of these squares, is thicker than the furthest one. You see that? This one takes up this much space, and this one takes up this much space. That's the recorder view. Except it's not that simple. I wish it was this simple, but the human face has got all kinds of grooves and biology and fat and muscle that it kind of, you know, you not only have to compress, but you have to show the C shape. You have to do this as well. Which is what I talked about earlier, that swell. All right, amazing question. How does the mouth change? It's hard for me to position it correctly, to know where to put the corner that is in the hidden side of the face. Like I said, once you find the nose and you do that whole compression thing with the nose triangle, oops, you choose where the tip of the nose is, and then you've got the you got the side of the nose, and you've got the bridge, right? Great side view of a nose, easy to move with. Sorry. This side here, pretty much this line right here, this first line goes down and tells you where that lip corner is. Then this line goes down and tells you where the ball of the lip is, where the cupid's bow is, meeting with the base of the septum. And then you got this line, if you want it to be a little bigger, a little smaller. If you want to keep to beauty standards, you keep it like this. And then you just connect the rest. And you've got the ball of the mouth visible. And then the rest just fills in. This corner is hidden more than this corner is. And then let me just outline the lips for you. This is pretty much what you just drew. Sorry for the roughness. But this C shape, this C shape, this C shape, the nose helps us find everything. The nose, carry that line upward, tells you where the pupil should go, typically where the eye would be. This is not the line for the corner of the eye. The corner of the eye is just almost at or right above the nostril line. Again, every face is different. It's hard for me to give you exact measurements. Alright, so no more questions. I'm going to go in and paint over some of these. I'm not sure how much energy I have left to do these paint overs. I'm going to take a water break and I'm going to be right back. In 3/4 view, yes, absolutely, Dagmaro. The symmetry line has to be curved. It's not just straight. Like I said, the symmetry line follows the face. Okay? You do have to draw the C shapes. All right? Okay, so let's paint over something. Let's do the fun stuff. Lesson is over. So we are seeing a lot of this side against this side. So this half of the symmetry line needs to go. So what we can do is using liquify, take care of that. The nose is a little bit small, and once I move this part of the eye, this part of the face over, let me just do it this way. Just like that. Yeah, I know what to do. I know what to do. I'm going to make a new layer and then cut this hole out of it. And then tuck it in after that. So unlock, cut, put it underneath, get the background color going, and let's see what we can do. Shift, 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 shift. Look at that. That's nice, right? Shift. That's what we need for this 3/4 view. All right, so this is where you were before. I'll fix the seams. Too much visibility. And this is where you need to be now. Now all we gotta do is just maybe smudge the edges of this one. Or actually what I'll do is I'll use eraser on soft brush. Okay, see how this further lip? Leave that alone. See how that's a lot of it is missing? That's fine. Leave that alone. All you really need to do is just fill in some of the info to connect the darkness of this lip over here. But this lip right now looks great. There are a lot of issues with the eye. You're drawing the eye symbolically. You're doing this with the eye. This is a symbolic eye. You have issues with the eye. You personally, the student. So I recommend going into some trace over diagram studies, which basically means that you get a photograph and you trace over it the actual surface areas and contour lines of that diagram until you perfect and replace the lines in your mind that represent the symbols that represent the eye for you. You replace them with real diagrams and real physics. So the lips are also a little bit off. The Cupid's bow adjusts, but this is just one example of showing too much of one side. Like I painted before at the early stages of the lesson, one side is more visible of the eyes than the other, especially in the distant eye. Most especially the distant eye. The biggest, most problematic feature, if you were to rate it, is the distant eye in 3/4 view. That would be the most difficult thing to paint, in my opinion. Second to hands. Okay, so right now you've got this whole thing going with the symbolic eye. I really want to paint over every one of these eyes. I mean, every one of these paintings. I'm not sure if I'll be able to. The eyebrow. First of all, this is too dark. Let me just get this. So thank you to everyone who made homework today. I really appreciate you guys handing in some stuff. The homework you make pretty much makes the lesson possible. So thank you. In front view, this eyebrow is probably a little bit closer to the eye. In side view, we see more of this space. So on that list of to do, on the list of to show, this is where you place that line. So I'm doing very, very just general shapes. Remember that gesture line I showed you for the nose bridge and the eyebrow? That's it right there. And then now we get to go into liquefy and adjust some stuff. So we're showing too much of the brow bone. That brow bone isn't that strong. For females, we don't have a Neanderthal brow. I just call it that. It's not an insult to the male species. You guys get the penis after all. Okay, so we're tucking that in, showing less of this side, more of this, less of this side. The eye, remember that on that what to not to show. Add to the what not to show list. And I'm going to be looking for some good notes to reward. I'm going to send out some good rewards for the note takers today who upload notes. But this side here, the closeness of the further eye to the edge of the silhouette, this needs to be hidden some more. Tucking that in, tucking that in. And then I'm going to move this bridge out. What to show, what becomes visible in a 3/4 view is the size of the nose. Remember, if they have a humongous hook nose, see that? See how we compressed it away into this perspective? If they have a humongous hook nose, it will be very visible in a 3/4 view. Okay. Stop quoting me. It's not my legacy. My legacy are my videos. Well, I say this stuff on the videos, so it's my fault if they write a book about me one day and say that penis comment. I'm so sorry for the children watching this. You should not be on YouTube. You should be learning art in school. Okay. This line that you have here connecting, this is actually happening on the bridge, not on the eye. Happens on the bridge. The eye pretty much just gets disconnected. And we have the lash line moving upward. It's a very, very rough paint over. It's probably going to be one of my more rough paint overs today because there's a lot of stuff to get through. And I've only had a glass of smoothie today as a meal. I didn't even get to work out, which sucks. Car buying is the most difficult thing in the world. It's really worth it, you know, if you have all your papers together, you get all your shit together. But yeah, car buying is a very difficult process. I imagine house buying is even more difficult. I mean, I don't imagine, I know exactly what it's like to buy a house. Inspections and all that business. It's a pain in the ass. But I'm here now. This horrible, horrid week is over. Probably going to manifest as some kind of anxiety attack later in the day. Alright, a couple more liquefy changes. Because of the changes I made, I kind of just readjusted the eye too much. But this is pretty much it. We're supposed to be hiding a lot of one side and revealing more of another. It's you have to eat your delicious food. I made lamb stew yesterday, the day before. Oh my god, it was delicious. Potatoes and onions, so yummy. Yeah, this is as much as I can do right now with my liquefy, which is a little bit crazy. Always flip your canvas and check. Always flip and check. Flip and check, okay? Write that back to me. Oops. I can't do a thorough paint over, but I hope this kind of displays exactly what I mean by what's visible, what to hide. The further side of the 3/4 view. Do you see how you're showing too much or showing too little? And that's the difficulty of 3/4 view. Compression and stacking, rotation and animation. If we didn't want her calling us her babies, we'd stop calling her mom. No, please don't call me mom. It makes me feel so old. Please, no more mom. Please. Is it worse than house buying? No, house buying is worse. You got to do inspections and you got to do the mortgage and you got to go back and forth between your lawyers. So it's tell her to tell him that this guy said this, and you never actually talk to the person you're buying it from unless you're buying it in a private sale. You have to get a real estate agent and set up a quote with them, and you have to look at 1,000 houses before you find a decent one, and the decent one you actually find ends up being the most expensive one for some reason, of course. And like once you choose your house, you have the inspector come in, and hopefully they find no problems, but if they do, you have to negotiate a price decrease. It's just buying a house is a crazy thing. And then once everything is signed, I guess, yeah, you're done. You have to go through like a mortgage approval, of course. Sometimes people have to go through brokers. A car is a very simple application. You just have one person, one loan officer or something. If you're not buying it all together, but if you're buying it with financing or something, it's a little more difficult. So yeah, house buying, if it's a fight between house buying and car buying, house buying is the more difficult thing. All right, so I'm going to go on to the next 3/4 view. Flip and check. Exactly. It is Istebrak. Do you have any tips on making the gaze seem natural in 3/4 view? Mine always looks kind of derpy. So you remember, Adam, how I tell you guys in front view, make the eyes cross just a little bit. When we do front view, if they're too far away, they look derpy. They're just a little more crossed than usual in 3/4 view, Adam. So they're a little closer together. And please remember that when we're looking at a pupil in 3/4 view, what we have is let's say this is the iris and this is the pupil. The pupil is closer to the edge. Dishes in, as my friend said, kind of like a bowl, like you have a little sake bowl, or whatever it is. All right, it moves inward. This is the base. This is the pupil, and this is the entire iris, and this is the lens. Okay, so this is the extreme 3/4 view. If we're in side view, extreme side view, 3/4 view. If it's normal, you don't really have to do all of that. Again, you get away with it. No one's going to get a magnifying glass with a measuring tool to measure whether or not you accurately compressed every single individual micro component. Okay, so yeah, this part is visible, very nice. The face, the eyes are getting a little less spherical. You have edges. The eye does not have corners in it. Just like that. You got to round that stuff off. It's like a rope tight around a basketball. That rope isn't going to just suddenly develop an edge. If that rope is wrapped tightly around the basketball, it's going to have the perfect shape of the basketball being the eyeball. All right. Again, too much visibility on one side. You guys got to start hiding that further part and showing more of this side. It's okay. I'll get the other part of the eye, the old nose back in a second. Okay. So this is what I mean when I say old nose back. Just erase away till you get the old shape. And then I'm just gonna bring in that bridge of the nose just a little bit more. Maybe that's too strong. Okay, so we have more of one side, less of another, and we're still getting too much visibility. So what I'm going to do again is I'm just going to capture all of this and then just tuck it in. So you're a little bit better than the one previously, like a little less visibility, but still tuck that baby in. All right, stop showing too much. Don't overpaint. Sometimes when I teach lips, when I teach about how to paint lips, I say the less rendered lip is a well-rendered lip. Write that back to me. A less rendered lip is a well-rendered lip. Meaning if you try to show too much edge work, we're going to end up drawing a really weird mechanical looking lip that makes it look like it's made out of metal or something. You want to render as little as possible, and that's the finesse of it. You render without rendering because you know what actually requires edge work and contrast and detail and what doesn't. You understand what is dense and what isn't. That under corner needs to disappear as well. And we've got some of this edge. So before, after, and then a full before and after. Okay. Less a less rendered lip is a more well rendered lip. Don't quote me exactly because my grammar is just retarded right now. Before, after. Okay, and we're just hiding some more of one side and revealing more of another because of our perspective. But I think it's really important if a teacher mocks themselves. I think there is like a distance that's created naturally just by me being an instructor and you guys being the student. This is why I love these sessions so much, because it's just like friends talking. I just feel like I'm talking to my friends. Not so much, you know, in an authoritarian kind of position as a teacher. But yeah, mocking yourself is really good. So please do. If I have like bad spelling or anything, please don't hold back. I need to be humbled. I've been having too much good luck lately. A less rendered lip is a well-rendered lip, yes. A more better rendered lip is a more well-rendered lip than if it wasn't well-rendered. Yeah, exactly. Which is more important first, values or perspective? It's like asking, I don't know. It's like asking which hand is more important, left or right. It's different. It's neither, both. It's when we're talking about perspective, you can study perspective using lines. So you can study that just fine. And you don't really have to learn perspective to study values. We kind of do have to learn some perspective to be able to move the camera around to know which side is dark and which side isn't. They're both two sides of the same coin, Mo. You don't feel the distance, Susanna? Good. I need to be humbles. Yeah, exactly. Can you talk about ear position in 3/4 view? Find the jaw, you find the ear. In order to find the jaw, you got to find the chin. And it pretty much you just estimate it. If you want the face to be, if you want the ear to be all the way back here, they've got a massive head. So you pretty much eyeball the rest of the visibility here. Don't make it too short. Don't make it too long. Mostly the bulb, you know, the light bulb. If you move a light bulb around, okay, if you move it around and rotate it, you won't know that you rotated it because the head is taking up the same amount of space. The only reason why we would know we rotated a ball is if we got like a, I don't know, a nose and put it on it. Then we would be able to know that we've rotated the light bulb. So essentially, the head should pretty much be the same size. It shouldn't have changed sizes as you rotated it, really. Yeah. Okay. So that means that the head is pretty much the same size, front view, side view, or 3/4 view. And the ear is just at the edge. Sometimes it's inside, sometimes it's outside. Again, it depends on the size. But before, after. All right. A lot of these changes are really fast. I'm so sorry I'm not more thorough. I'm so tired and so hungry. But I'm so happy every time I think, oh my God, thank you God, that car buying is over. I'll talk about this one in a second. This one is another example of showing too much. This is just a front view eye that's slightly compressed. Some of you compress, some of you don't. But this is an example of showing too much. Let's talk about cheekbones real quick. Real quickity-like. RGB. Let's just make this one full collective class lesson. Okay, so let me show you a quick little tip. You guys are gonna love me for this. All right, ready? Are you guys even ready for this? All right, so we start here, we get this corner, and we basically follow the mid-tone that's created out of this cheekbone. All right. We're pretty much not following this exactly because sometimes it's just out here a little bit. All you gotta do, let's just generalize it. Let's just make a big general shade. We just pretty much get the silhouette of that shade. And Control-C, Control-V, flip horizontally, and then rotate as needed to find, because rotation is required. It's not going to be, it's symmetrical. It's not a perfect mirror image. And you'll find exactly how much you really should have, the average of what was the visibility of the further cheek. So we're seeing we need more up here because her cheeks are really strong up there as indicated by the light, and less down here because it caves in. See that average? The average didn't even include the extra you added on the further side. Sometimes you can get the exact line. You drew an exact line, just get that exact line. Just a general line of where that outline is. Control C. You can do the exact line, you can do the average. I like the average because it's a little less, let me darken that. It's a little less intense and it's easier to follow it. But yeah, again, the same answer. Too much on this side, too much extension of the cheekbone. And yeah, then everything else just seems okay. Too much extension on the chin. It's almost always we have too much visibility on this further side. The quickest way to check if you have too much visibility on the further side is just through that. For me, I can eyeball it because I've done this so many times. And you'll be able to eyeball it as soon as well. As soon as you're, you know, used this trick enough times. Or thought about this enough times. The cheek light is pretty high, so this cheek does have to be higher. You're illustrating it like, okay, this cheek is so high, some of the light is beside the eye on the further part. That means that she's got really strong cheekbones. She's got a lot of light on the outer brow bone, so it needs to be more of a C. But then it all tucks back in, just like that. And the chin is way too visible on the bottom. And this needs to just curve back inward. As for the entire eye itself, the whole thingy-majiggy needs to be hidden. Alright, so we're pretty much just capturing the entire shape, and I'm gonna, oops. Just delete that. Get that background color in there. And just like I did before, doop, 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 shifting it over and then hiding away. Oh no, painting it. Painting it in. Some more of that hidden section. Alright, and this whole area, this is not an actual edge. This is not an edge that contests the kind of edge we have on the nose, so this gets blended out. And the eyebrow gets blended out. Alright, so we'll look at the 3/4 view again. One last time for another paint over, and then we're done for the day. We compress the lip. The outer corner of the lip is hidden, the further corner. We're seeing more of the compression and the swell of the lip, just like this. And when you're doing sweeping corrections like this, you gotta get a blocking brush. Okay, the further corner is hidden, just like that. This eyebrow is a little overdrawn. I do recommend bringing in some bounce light under. Remember, the eyebrow extends further than the eye in 3/4 view in the closer eye. And this whole brow structure is giving off the wrong feeling for the brow bone. Almost done. Might actually be done now, just to take it easy on my voice, but I think I've pretty much shown all the changes that we discussed earlier. Alright, so we've compressed, we've hidden. I haven't touched this eye. This eye is way too symbolic for me to correct just in this small amount of time. You do sometimes get away with the eye, but if you start working with, see how the nose is so much easier to hide the nostril than it is to hide parts of the eye. But do some trace over diagrams as soon as possible. Trace over diagrams look a little something like, let me see if I can find it. Who did some trace over diagrams for me recently? Let me find them for you. Please feel free to ask me questions at this time while I find these for you guys. Rick did. Okay. Yes. So these are called trace over diagrams. All right, I give you a photo, you lower the opacity of the photo, and you just start drawing over the eye. What it does is wonders for your ability to remember the layering, the visibility, the rotation, the hiddenness, and you use these vertical and horizontal lines to show the compression, show these contour lines are showing the compression in the perspective. These are trace over diagrams. If you guys do these in multiple perspectives, you no longer will have this problem of showing too much white. You won't show this much white of this further eye anymore. You'll show less and less as you need, and more as you need, sorry. Okay, so let me look at the comment section. Istebrak, can you please talk about beard facial hair on 3/4 view? Because so many people get it wrong. The problem with beards, Gigi, is that we are not elevating them. Hair is a bush. So what happens, God damn, I'm going to see that in quotations, aren't I? I'm going to see it in quotations. So if she had a beard, the beard would actually show some of that extension outward, all right? So we see these outer C swells, these C shapes, move outward. That's it. So they're like any other object, like any other, remember the star on the beach ball? Any other object, it moves along the contour lines as it rotates, but typically it should have an elevation of its own. We have the altitude map of the beard representing its volume. The only problem, Gigi, is people aren't representing its volume or tracking the rotation properly. When are you going to release your new brushes? My new brushes are going to be a combination of my current sketch brush, a couple more blocking brushes, some of the brush sets that were in the books I've discontinued, and a lot of smudging brushes. They're probably going to be the most important pieces in that collection that I'm going to release soon. The smudging brushes are exactly what you see me do today on Smudge Tool. We bring in a scatter brush design to behave like actual smudging traditionally. It's a more realistic blending style, and those are the brushes I'm going to release very soon. I've been so busy, as you guys know. I promise I will. I know she does look cute with a beard. She reminds me of that, you know, band of misfits, the beard lady. Yeah. So I can't look at these just yet. I have to call it a day. I'll probably look at these on Thursday if there's time. Thursday isn't specific to any kind of challenge. It's just going to be a free-for-all, but I will try to cover some people who made homework for today. I really appreciate you guys making homework. But that's it for today. Thank you everyone for joining. For those who want to continue with my class, you go to istebrak.com. You go to the Google Plus little icon-y thingy here, and you join. Make sure you read the instructions. Make sure you read the rules. If you post single sketches, if you post more than once a day, your work will be either on the spam folder and blocked, or I will block it myself if it ends up in the spam folder, if you end up posting one sketch by sketch. Remember, the rule is it's a lot of people have joined this, 5,200 members. The only way we can manage this wall is if everyone works economically. We make sure that one post per person and one post a day for people who are doing a 14-day challenge. Preferably wait until you have painted over and taken in all the critiques you got before you post again. For those who want to post a body of sketches, please post them together as one sketch instead of using up your one slot per one sketch. I'm sorry I have to repeat myself every time, but just to make sure that this stays manageable for me and my mods. I will upload this recording today on YouTube, and that's pretty much it for today. Thank you everyone for watching. If you are interested in my brushes, I will give out some free sets today for those who make great notes and upload them into the notes category. So if you don't have them, if you can't afford them for any reason, all I need to see is that you're participating and you're trying to learn, and I give you a free set, possibly both sets for free. But if you are interested in buying them, you can buy them on my website, on the store at istebrak.com, as well as Portrait Studio, which you saw in action today. We are updating the models, and we are updating the lighting system very soon. So there's another massive overhaul update coming up for Portrait Studio. And you'll be able to have a controllable separate Portrait Studio you can download just for form studies. That is pretty much in prototype, but it's a lot more simple to generate than it is for models and blend shapes and moving around features. So that will be a very soon release, hopefully hand in hand with my brushes. And for those who are wondering when the next open challenge will be in the community, like a design challenge, I will get on that as soon as possible. Everything is pretty much out of the way. It's free sailing from here, and smooth sailing. And yeah, that's it. Those are all the announcements I wanted to cover for that person who posted a piece of work and I accidentally pressed X. I'm so sorry. Just try to post your work again, and I'm sure you'll get in. I'm so sorry. It must have been like the first time they posted and I destroyed their spirit forever or something. But thank you everyone for joining. Have a great day, guys. I'm so sorry for my delay today. I'll see you guys on Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern time. Bye-bye.